Joining me now is Steve Hilton. He served as an advisor to the former British Prime Minister David Cameron, an advocate for Britain leaving the EU. He is currently the CEO of CrowdPack, a Silicon Valley political crowdfunding and data site, entrepreneur, and bright fellow. Good to have you here.
Great to be here, Lou.
First, your reaction to Donald Trump taking these early steps, whether it be 5 years before you can lobby our government again, serving in his administration, whether it be earmarks. I mean, he's taking early steps to deliver on his promise to drain the swamp. I love to say that. If you haven't noticed, folks, drain the swamp.
It's exactly as you just said. It's so refreshing to see a politician actually do what they say they're going to do. And it's ridiculous that we should find that surprising and refreshing, but that's the sorry state of our politics. Now, that's exactly what people elected him to do, to go and shake things up. Right. And I think all the indications that you're getting from the way he's going about this, the appointments he's making, is that he's serious about shaking things up. And that's great, because it needs shaking up.
Does it ever? And the popularity of this man is a result of speaking truth to the people. They hadn't heard it for so long over the course of this campaign that for the first time in my professional career, I wasn't tired of this campaign by the time it had concluded. A year and a half of this. Most people are saying, oh, please, just get it over. A few did, but most of them were on the losing side of it, and you can understand their urgency. But it's really you can sense the change that is profound, that's in the air. And there is a building anticipation for the moment that Donald Trump walks into the White House. And
I think he understands that. And I think that it's not just that he was interesting in the way that he put out his arguments. He also did it in plain English. He spoke simply and clearly. And I think that relates to something that we're seeing going on right now with the way that this transition and his first few days are being covered by the media, which is completely ridiculous. They have always underestimated him precisely because he speaks plainly in simple terms that average Americans can understand, instead of the highfalutin language that hides the truth that we're so used to from politicians.
Well, speaking of obfuscation, President Obama in Berlin today, in Germany, talking about God knows what besides himself. Again, you know, he's a tremendous fan of the first person singular. He can never let it go. He keeps Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, waiting as he finishes a thought that is, 15 minutes in duration, that has about 5 minutes of content and about a minute of it worth listening to.
You know what, that press conference, and in fact all the things he said on this farewell tour of overseas countries, it just really reminds me of the most infuriating version of Obama, which is the version of Obama that is the snooty anthropology professor, not a leader actually shaping events, making decisions that change things, but someone from on high observing. And that is, I think, at the heart of what we've seen, because it's the policy failures of that attitude that have resulted in Donald Trump's election.
Absolutely, and the desperate need for him to get into that Oval Office. Obama gives you the sense that he is going to bring his fingers with snuff attached for a quick snort. But I mean, he really is all of the worst of what you think of when you think of an elitist.
Exactly.
Vacuous, self-important, and staying well beyond his welcome.
But what's really interesting about it is because he puts it in language that is so cerebral, and
suffocating.
The press are so gullible and superficial and sycophantic, frankly, that they
don't like them either, do you?
Well, they interpret it as great wisdom. But actually, all it's doing is hiding the real-life failure of his policies.
I couldn't agree with you more. What is your advice to the Trump, I was about to say campaign, the Trump administration, the team now, on how to deal with an absolutely vicious, venal, often vapid, but certainly nasty left-wing national media that doesn't give a damn what the facts are? They're going to attack him and all of his administration.
Well, you could just see it. I mean, the New York Times is probably the worst. They've made fools of themselves, I think, in the last week. If you just go back a couple of days, the end of last week, they front page story lambasting Trump for having lobbyists in the transition team.
Right.
He brings in Pence, he dumps the lobbyists, and then it's a front page story about chaos and turmoil.
Right.
They are really revealing their prejudice.
And I want to put up, Steve, very quickly, I know we're short on time, but I want to show this graphic to just so everyone understands. These are the appointments by administration in weeks. As you see there, whether it's Nixon, Carter, Reagan, an exception is Bush 41, then Clinton, Bush 43, Obama. Nothing happened in the first 2 weeks.
That's right.
We have seen countless stories by the left-wing national media, whether it's the Washington Post, whether it is the New York Times, as you suggest, the typical scoundrels at NBC, ABC, CBS, lambasting Donald Trump and his transition.
It's hysterical. It's truly embarrassing for them. And I think I'm right in saying that with Clinton, first time around in '92, months into the administration, there's still thousands of positions unfilled.
Yeah, the truth is, though, too, Clinton did something very bright. He had a president-elect's conference on the economy. It was an absolute tremendous success. He's the only president I've ever seen do it. It was brilliant, and I think worthwhile for
but what's really going to make the difference is the action that this administration takes. Well, I firmly believe that you're going to see a huge resurgence of enterprise and dynamism in our economy.
I think it's already underway, and I think it's reflected in the markets. I think it's reflected in the actions he's taken. I think you're right. That's the short answer. Steve Hilton, good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Be with you, Lou.
Appreciate it.